quick recap on the Meyer Key before we start this quest. Back in 2005, we were commissioned by a shady stranger in the Canifus Inn. He asked us to bring steel weapons to resistance fighters called the Meyer Key. We had to hunt their secret lair down ourselves. We succeeded, but the stranger turned out to be a vampire noble named Vanstrom Klaus, who killed 2 of the Meyer Key and then sicked his hellhound on us, which we defeated. We got to know the remaining members of the Meyer Key, and a few months later, their leader Velief Hertz asked us to help them find a new hideout. We found it in the rundown town of Berg de Rot, and then moved down there after we cleaned it up a bit. Quest number 110, the Darkness of Hallowvale. We check on Velief and the rest of the Meyer Key in the basement of the inn here in Berg de Rot. He says he needs some help with a mission in the Sanguinesti region, also a diplomatic mission asking for help from Mistalin. First things first, he needs us to find out how to enter the Sanguinesti region. It's guarded by the Virewatch, high-ranking vampires that keep the humans of Mauritania in line. The Virewatch patrol a massive wall along the outside of the Sanguinesti region, and it extends all the way out to the sea. There's another division of the Meyer Key residing somewhere there, and we'll need to find them. The Meyer Key actually started within that sect, led by a man named Safalan Hallow. We head outside and look towards the east. The woods are infested with Firewatch and vampire juvenates. In the dense fog, you could barely make out the massive wall of the Sanguinesti region in the distance. In the southern section of Berg de Rot is a small boathouse. We make some repairs to the old boat and then repair the chute. We push it down and then row it along the coast. We find a section of the wall that has crumbled, make our way up it. We kick down a part of the floor and climb into the wall. We head out into the slums and are immediately halted by a Firewatch. We offer up a tithe and move on. We speak with one of the citizens, asking if he's heard of the Meyer Key. He has. We tell him we need to meet them. He tells us to speak to Old Man Ral. We find him in the building nearby. He's hesitant and crotchety, but we flatter him by calling him the Sage of Sanguinesti. He warms up to us and says the Meyer Key are in Sector 3. We need to follow the symbols to find them. We find one of the symbols in a nearby house and follow it up to find a ladder, leading to another one. We hop from building to building, following symbols, and we climb into a house with a secret trapdoor hiding a tunnel into another building. We climb the shelf and continue following the symbols until we come across a room with a broken ladder. We find the missing piece on the wall on the floor above and repair it. We find ourselves deep in the Sanguinesti region and find a house with a portrait of a statue of a female vampire holding a key. We continue onwards, following the symbols until we find a fake wall with a latch, which we unhook using a knife. We push the sickle on the nearby wall and the rug nearby pushes up. We open it to reveal a trapdoor and head in. We find the Sanguinesti Meyer Key. We speak with Vertita Cephalatus, who writes out a message to give to Velief. We leave the Sanguinesti region and deliver him the message, telling him we found a way to sneak into the city. He reads the message. Vertita told him that the Vyres are somehow bringing in fresh victims. Further, Velief has found a new mission for us. He's heard some bad news from Paterdomus that he wants us to check out. Something about odd noises. After that, he wants us to continue on our missions and beseech aid from the King of Varrock. We head to Paterdomus and speak with Drezel. He wants us to check around the temple grounds. We find a person in a bush by the stairs, but are attacked by 2 shadowy figures. Somehow those 2 werewolves are crossing the river. We're knocked unconscious, but hear them talking about a tithe. Clearly they're responsible for getting the fresh meat that the Vyres have been getting lately. We come to and report to Drezel. He says he'll have to meet with his order, then he gives us runes to teleport to Varrock, which we immediately use. We talk with King Roald, telling him of the Meyer Key and their plight. He's immediately responsive to the situation, but his advisor, Eonisig Reisfer, tells him to pause. Eonisig says that an invasion of Mauritania can upset the balance of the world and send it into another god war. Something called the Edicts of Guthix prevents them from acting. The advisor says that they can push back on the edicts, but that requires paperwork? King Roald and we both push the advisor for any immediate actions, but there aren't any. However, while Mistalin may not be able to directly assist, they can create a mercenary protocol, allowing adventurers such as us to act in defense of Mistalin in return for glory and spoils. This will hopefully lessen the burden on the Meyer Key, while King Roald works to lessen the influence of the Guthixian edicts. Eonisig teleports us back to Paterdomus. We tell Juzzle what we've learned, and he agrees. He says that the Guthixian edicts govern the balance of power. For instance, if Saradomin's power were to increase, the Drakons could call on assistance from other realms, thus maintaining balance. Drezel explains that according to the druids who follow Guthix, he's sleeping somewhere in the world, and Guthix is said to have evicted the gods during the God Wars, and banished or destroyed any powerful entity aligned to a god, leaving behind only mortals. After they were banished, a religious balance was created. The Guthixian Edicts. If a second God War were to begin, Guthix would be so angry that he would remake the world, destroying civilization as we know it. We head down to Bergdarat once again and report to Velief. He's disappointed to hear the news and says we need to report back to the Sanguinesti Order. We use the boat and climb the wall once again, but this time we purposefully get caught by a Virewatch. We demand to be sent to the mines. It teleports us there, and a guard tells us to fill a cart. We mine the blue Dayalt from the walls and deposit 15 into a cart. We find ourselves in Sector 3 of the Sanguinesti region. We quickly make our way back into the hideout and report to Vertida. He says we need to tell the news to Safalan directly. He says Safalan is currently on a mission sketching Castle Draken. He says we can find him by walking along the wall. And he tells us, in order to do that, we'll need to know how to unlock a door, and he tells us how to do it. He guides us back to Sector 1, and we follow his instructions by running along the wall, climbing down this ladder, finding the button he was talking about, and then open the wall. Hey, I can see barrows from here. Whoa. This place looks way better. We must be out of the slums. Oh hey, that must be Safalan. We tell him about the werewolves in King Roald. We ask if we can help. He tells us he's scouting the castle in order for the Myarchy to mount an attack. He says we need to simply sketch the castle from all sides. Look how huge this thing is. While sketching, we see Vanstorm Klaus along with 3 other vampires. We overhear him call the female Lady Vanescula. They're talking about how successful the new tithing is going. We get the other sketches and start to head back, but Vanstorm catches us. We try to run away, but there's no path for some reason. Anyway. Vanstorm delivers a coup de grace, but he's interrupted by someone. She tells him that Lady Vanescula would have me questioned before he kills us. When we come to, she says that Vanescula has an interest in Safalan, and as a good gesture, has allowed us to live. She says we need to deliver him a message, and we can find it, secreted behind tiles where smoke is carried away from the depiction of statuesque evil. We finish off the last of the sketches. Check these out! I have no idea why there's so many castles, but for just charcoal and papyrus, that was really good. We get sent to the mines again and make our way back to the hideout after we get out. We tell Safalan what happened. We give him the sketches, then we head out and find the room with the portrait of the statue, along with the fireplace. We find a loose tile in the fireplace and remove it with our knife. Hiding in it is a message.
I am compelled to commit my experience to paper, perhaps to ease my conscience at the crimes I have committed against my fellow man. Or perhaps, I hope, that in some way these details may help my fellows struggle against the Vyres. My unbearable duty, upon the value of my family's lives, is to assist in an underground laboratory. Each day, I aid the stinking Vyres with their diabolical experiments. They claim that the research will aid us, but I am aware of their darker purpose. The tithes do not come fast enough for them. They're always hungry for more. Ever more mouths to feed as countless more Vyres are created. The never-ending need for more human blood. Against our will, we tinker and toil with compounds, experimenting, researching, and recording. But to what aim? It's clear to me now that it is not our aid, but to our efficiency in producing more blood. As the farmer feeds livestock to fatten our food, so too the Vyres seek to fatten our blood. But it has not gone well for the Vyres. And just now, the laboratory is closed down. All outward manner of its appearance is disguised to hide its purpose, and all my fellows associated with it have disappeared. With such haste and secrecy, it's come about that I dare to think some rare and dangerous thing has been discovered there. Something that may put fear into the hearts of the Vyre, if indeed a heart should beat there at all. I have hidden so long now, and they come looking for me many times already. They would not rest until I was caught. If they knew I have the means to access that place again, hidden in depictions of statuesque evil. If I get chance, I shall return, learned what I can to pass on to my brothers in arms. However, my eyes are not the last to read this message, and I beg you, dear reader, to do what you can to discover the secret of this place, and, if found, use it, if you can, to incite the destruction of the Vampyre. The laboratory lies in the northeast of Mireditch, south of the mines, north of Tackwell's fish shop, and east of the Skull and a Chest Inn. Myarchy prevail. Auritus, Guile.
We cut into the portrait and find a large key. We report back to Safalan and let him know what we found. He asks us to search for the laboratory. We find a house in the northeast with a large tapestry. We slice it open and find a hidden room. Inside is another door and a large statue. We place the key we found into its hands, just like the portrait had. The door opens and we find the laboratory. We find some runes, which we use to cast telekinetic grab on a book in an inaccessible area. The book is titled High Alchemy, Volume 1. We try to read it, but it doesn't make sense to us. We bring it to Safalan and he thanks us. He says that together we can pull back the Darkness of Hallowvale. Roll credits. The last task he asks of us for now is to bring Velief a message. Before we go, he gives us a key that will help us travel through Mireditch. We deliver Velief the message. He says Safalan has recommended we be promoted to the rank of private within the Myarchy. We're now part of the Myarchy. Quest complete, and Myarchy prevail. Quick recap before the next quest. Back in 2002, we helped a mother look for her son and husband on the western coast near Ardoyan. A man named Holgart rode us to a nearby fishing platform that was infested with sea slugs. The sea slugs had some sort of mind control abilities and the whole platform was taken over, save for the chef. We found Kenneth, the husband, stranded on an island close by. We rescued him and also saved a son from the fishing platform. Then, in 2005, in an attempt to join the White Knights so we can formally join the Temple Knights, we chased down a very dangerous man. We were under the orders of certification to hunt down but not engage him. Savant, our overseer, who talked to us through our high-tech comm-orb, helped us along the way by providing intel and analyzing our scans. Quest number 111, the Slug Menace. We report back to Certifian Falador and ask if he has any work for us yet. He says he does. He wants us to go to Ardoyan, or more specifically, Witch Haven. He wants us to report to the retired Temple Knight named Call O'Niall. He tells us to remember the code phrase in Falador, the geese fly backwards on Tuesdays. We teleport to Ardoyan and walk to Witch Haven and find Call. We tell him the passphrase, and he lets us know that Certifia is just messing with us. We ask him what the mission is. He says about 3 weeks ago, he noticed the mayor has been acting strange. He says that he announced that he'll be renovating the shrine west of the town. He's also been bringing in mining equipment and rune essence in large quantities. Further, some villagers have been disappearing overnight, then reappearing the next day in a confused state. He recommends we speak with the mayor, Brother Maledict, and Holgart, the fisherman. We talk with Mayor Hobb, who, doesn't look so good. He doesn't sound so good, either. He's talking like he's exhausted. While we're talking, he lets slip our name that we never told him. We ask him what he's doing with the shrine. He says the shrine is their future. Something within it can unlock a new path for the village and all of RuneScape. As we had to leave, Savant stops us. She asks us to scan the mayor. She casts Detect Magic and finds nothing around him, but does find that there's 2 life forms on the scan, when it should have only found him. Next, we talk with Brother Maledict in the church. He says he's concerned that his congregation is drifting away. He thinks it may have something to do with the shrine. We talk with Holgart. He seems to be down about something. He says he's not able to sail anymore. Apparently, he broke the mayor's new articles of sailing. The mayor took his boat and gave it to Jeb. He mentions that the fishing platform is even stranger now than it was before, and recommends we check it out. We report back to Cole O'Neill. He tells us to check out the shrine. We head down into it. We've been here once before. It's where we got the perfect gold for the family crest quest. But instead of going deep into the cave, we find a wall with a secret entrance hidden in it. We squeeze in and find a giant tunnel system. We run past the giant lobsters and find a door of some sort with 2 White Knight statues guarding it. Savant contacts us and asks for us to scan it. We do, and we see a sea slug come out of the door and scamper away. She says the door has ancient glyphs on it that are Saradominus runes. She says Jorel can translate them for us. Before we leave, we see a dead sea slug nearby. We grab it and take it with us. We head to the outpost and show Jorel the glyphs. He says he's too busy, but Savant chimes in and tells us to tell him that we're speaking to a wizard who's speaking to us telepathically. She tells us that the Temple Knights have a front company keeping Jorel on retainer named Pat Mill Books. We tell him we're with that company, and he immediately starts translating the glyphs. It talks about a battle between the Temple of Saradomin and the Maish Medron. He says he believes a more apt translation would be Mother Malum. The temple managed to trap the Mother Malum behind a mystical prison that would hold her for all time. Savant was able to solve the history using Jorel's information. Centuries ago, the Temple Knights found that something had taken control over some of the most influential people in the world. That something being Mother Malum. The Temple Knights fought back against the mind control and were able to push the Mother Malum into a mystical prison. Savant says we need to try and reinforce the barrier holding her in that prison. Unfortunately, a fire caused by a crash-landing dragon destroyed the records that would explain how to do that. She says we should ask around Witch Haven. We report again to Colonial. He tells us to talk to the priest. When we get there, we see the mayor walking out of the church. Brother Maledict is now afflicted with whatever the mayor has. He says information about the shrine is in a book, but we can't have it because the pages pertaining to the shrine have been stolen. We find the first page on the mayor's desk. Then, we talk with Ezekiel Lovecraft, who, while his skin is also jaundiced, talks like a sane person. He says just before we arrive, someone pushed one of the pages underneath his door. He gives it to us. We talk with Colonial, who has also been afflicted. He does, however, give us the last page. It's been ripped into 3 pieces. We try to glue them together with swamp paste, but Savant stops us, barely preventing us from accidentally destroying the ancient paper. She tells us to bring our dead sea slug and have someone experienced in cooking fish reduce it into a glue. We have Jeb take us to the fishing platform, which is now also infested with giant lobsters as well as sea slugs. We talk to Bailey, who still seems to not have a sea slug attached to him somehow. He takes the dead sea slug and adds it to an overcooked gumbo to make the glue, which we use to bind the paper back together. We read the 3 papers, they all say the same thing. The page details a method of modifying rune essence into a mystical keystone. The method involved seems a little complex, but well within your abilities. Firstly, a mined rune essence needs to be shaped into the required form. Secondly, the mystical energies which empower runestones needs to be channeled into the rune essence. This would need to be performed at the properly consecrated rune altar. Once consecrated, the 5 stones of earth, air, fire, water, and mind should be placed into the door of the mystical prison. However, it should be noted that this method of shaping and empowering negates the rune's use for the casting of spells. This last line is the only part that's different between the 3 pages. The first page details channeling earth and air, the second one fire and water, and the third one is mind. We follow the instructions to carve the essence into various shapes, then bind all 5 carved runes at their respective altars. We take them down into the temple and place them onto the door. It opens. Mayor Hobb teleports in and thanks us. His head is transformed into something much more aquatic. He says the door was actually enchanted perfectly by the Temple Knights, preventing anyone who isn't a Temple Knight from touching it. A giant slug comes sliming out of the cave. Hobb calls it the Prince. It attacks us, and we kill it. Then, the Mother Malum comes out, holding a host and speaking through it. It tells Hobb to prepare the throne, and he leaves.
So then, RS3 Released, it is just us. What shall we do with you? Your mind is like an open book to us, your very essence laid bare before our sight. You have great potential, RS3 Released. We should destroy you now, lest you interfere with our plans further, or we could take you whole and make you an extension of our will. After millennia, this husk is almost spent and requires replacement. Yes, you will make an excellent host.
Never. I'll never serve you. I shall fight until my last breath before giving in.
Yes, that's it. Fight. Fight with all your heart. It's always so much sweeter when they resist us.
We call out to Savant, who tries to teleport us away, but the Mother Malum is blocking it.
Come with us, RS3 Released. Come and be with us for all eternity.
She tries again.
RS3 Released. It is useless to resist. Now we shall become as one.
As the Mother Malum is about to strike, the teleport spell works, and we're brought back to Falador Park. We report to Sir Tiffy, and he gives us a promotion. Quest complete. 63 crafting. Back in 2004, we found a book that led us into a secret underground workshop. We repaired the workshop and rediscovered the lost process to make elemental bars and created a magical shield out of them. Quest number 112, Elemental Workshop 2. We happen to be wandering around the dig site library and stumble upon a beaten book. Inside is a piece of paper used as a bookmark, which we also take. The title is the Book of the Elemental Helm. It's a sequel to the book from the first quest. During a 2-year research period, the elemental ore refining process was perfected. The greatest outcome of this was priming the ore. An accident happened when a student attempted to prank someone by attempting to animate a primed bar. He transferred his consciousness into the elemental ingot, leaving his body behind as a dead husk. Attempts were made to reverse this, but it wasn't possible. It was found that the primed elemental metal was able to completely lock in the mental energy and none of it would seep out. Conversely, on a non-primed elemental bar, any mental energy that was transferred into it would immediately dissipate. The bookmark paper has some kind of code on it. We go to the Sears Village and once again head into the workshop. If we treat this paper as directions to follow, and assuming down means to go down the stairs we just ascended, then we go 2 north, 2 east, 2 north again, 2 east again, 10 north and 4 west, then pipe 3? We find a hidden key in the 3rd pipe. The workshop is still in working condition from the last time we were here, so we mined some elemental ore and smelt 3 total bars. Then we use the new key to unlock the hatch in the middle, revealing another set of stairs. We find ourselves in an entirely new workshop in need of repairs. We find a crane and a lever schematic. The crane schematic tells us how to make an elemental claw, which is good because the claw nearby needs replacing. The lever schematic explains how the levers in this room function. We make a crane claw real quick upstairs, then pull a lever nearby to lower the claw, then repair it. We place an elemental bar on the cart and then dunk it in lava using the repaired crane. It comes out orange. We pull this lever to move the jig cart. We try and pull the lever to the press, but nothing happens. We find the junction box for it and see that the pipes are not connected. We fix it and try again. The bar is flattened. We move the cart forward, now it's in front of a tank. We use the mechanisms to pull the jig into the tank, fill it with water, but then the drain valve doesn't work. We run around the workshop looking for spare parts until we find a small cog, a big cog, a pipe, and a medium cog. We find a broken pipe above the water tank and replace it with the one we found and try the drain again. This time it works. We take out the bar and arrive at the final part that appears to be a big fan of some sort. There's some pins that don't have anything on them. We fit the cogs onto them and turn on the fan. It dries out the bar. We take the prime bar off the jig. We go downstairs with it and go through a door with a mind rune on it. We place it over here and sit in the chair nearby. It drains our magic by 20 levels and we get an elemental mind bar. We take it upstairs and turn it into a helmet. Quest complete. We head back down and repeat the process one more time from the beginning. Heating, flattening, cooling, and drying the bar to prime it. Then infusing it with mind juice. And this one we make into a shield. Before we can start the next quest, we have to do a little minigame that I've been neglecting. Here in Twibowanai Village, Merkiali says we can hack away at the jungle around the village to help clean it up, then use the thatch spars to repair the fences. We don't really care about any of that, we just had to do it once real quick. Now, a fast recap. In 2002, we helped the Twibowanai village in making a potion to have their shaman commune with the gods about a curse. In return, they recognized us as a friend. Then in 2004, we got Sanfu some goutweed from the troll stronghold with the help of a man named Edgar. The hard part was that the trolls picked all the naturally grown goutweed a long time ago, and they hoard it in their stronghold. We got some by tricking the troll cook, Burnt Meat, into telling us how to get into the storeroom where they keep it all. Quest number 113, My Arm's Big Adventure. Returning to the troll stronghold, we check on Burnt Meat. He says he has a big important job for us. He's heard about goutweed growing again from an adventurer he cooked. He said that you can get gout tuber from Twibowanai and grow it in a farming patch. Burnt Meat wants us to figure out how to grow it and teach his assistant, My Arm. If we do this, Burnt Meat promises to never eat another human. We talk with My Arm, who got his name because he took a chomp of his dad's arm when he was a baby. He said that trolls on Death Plateau have something similar to what the adventurer described. We head to Death Plateau and find 2 troll chefs around a cauldron. We reach into it and take a lump of goutweed out of it, and teleport away before we're pummeled to death. We take it to My Arm and he promptly eats it. Now he wants us to show him how to grow more. He says he's tried farming before, but never got anything to grow. We ask to see his farming patches. He leads us to the top of the troll stronghold. Looks like he's tried to grow fish, rocks, goats, boxes, trees, and a trolley. Incredible, none of them grew. He says he found this book and he asks us to read it. It talks about the basics of farming, but also has one extra entry about soil preparation. In mountain environments, we need to mix 3 buckets of dung and 7 buckets of super compost. We head to Al Kharid and use our wondrous camulet to ask a camel very nicely for its dung, and he obliges. We pour 3 buckets of the stuff into the patch, then 7 buckets of super compost. Next, my arm wants to go to Tybal One-Eye to get a gout tuber. We walk all the way to Ardoyan and talk with Captain Barnaby, and ask him for a ride to Karamja. He accepts because he thinks we're going to beat him up otherwise. After a long boat ride, we arrive at Brimhaven. My arm runs ahead. We have to get 60% favor now, so I'll be chopping here for a bit. Alrighty, there we go. And now we find my arm north of the village. We tell Mercalli that my arm needs some help with goutweed. He says the tubers only grow in warm climates with plenty of sunlight. He says we'll need a special hardy gout tuber in order to grow it on the mountains. He says they're too valuable to give away. We leverage the 60% favor we just got, and he agrees to give one to us. All of a sudden, my arm gets tired of waiting and starts causing havoc in the village. A brood victim pops out and my arm DK punches him. Mercalli gives us even more tubers to make him go away. My arm then warns us that there's a big bird that bothers him up on the mountain, and he says we should gear up before going back, and we sail back to Ardoyan. We teleport back to the troll stronghold and meet him by the patch. We give him a rake so he can remove the weeds, super compost, the gout tubers, and a seed dipper. The drunken dwarf shows up and my arm DK punches him too. He's dead. A giant bird swoops down and tries to eat the goutweed. We kill it, and an even bigger bird comes down. Fun tidbit about this monster, it's the first monster in the game that has a completely avoidable attack. We can move out of the way of its boulder toss and take no damage. We kill it pretty easily and give my arm a spade to pick the goutweed. He levels up. We tell Burnt Meat the good news. He rewards us with 11 pieces of burnt meat. We go back to my arm and he tells us a secret about herbs, and makes a farming patch right here that we can use whenever we like, and he'll protect it for us as well. Quest complete. 58 Herbler. Quest number 114, Enlightened Journey. On Intrana, we meet a man named August. He asks if we want to be his assistant. He claims to be the first balloonist in all of RuneScape. He says he's sick of being on this island and wants to explore, but he gets seasick so he wants to fly instead, using a balloon somehow. He shows us some sort of crazy diagram with a basket and a balloon above it. He believes that hot air rises, and if we pump enough hot air into an envelope, it will go up. The madman. He asks us for a sheet of papyrus and a candle. He has us fold up the papyrus into an origami box and a candle attached to it with a string. We do as he asks, and he lights the candle. It floats, and then it bursts into flames. Next, he uses 2 sheets of papyrus and a sack of potatoes to make a larger balloon, but out of nowhere, an angry mob shows up and destroys it, and it bursts into flames. Now he says we're ready to build the first balloon to fly us off the island. He says we'll need yellow and red dyes, 10 pieces of silk, a clay bowl, and 8 sandbags. He also says he needs for us to grow a willow tree and get 12 branches from it to make the basket. He gives us a sapling and a basket of apples so we can pay a farmer to watch it. We give him the bowl, dye, and sandbags, and go and plant the tree, and we wait for 4 hours. While waiting, I decided to go check on our kingdom, refill our favor, and the coffers. That's a lot of logs and seeds. Then we go get money from my favorite cash cow, Taras. Here we are, all done. Aw, what? I thought it started with branches grown. Man. Well, I'm just gonna wait here until they grow. There we go. We already had 6 from when we were training farming a while ago. I don't know why I didn't just get 12 back then, but oh well. We head back to Intrana and give him the last of the items, and then he finishes the creation of his balloon and fires it up. He asks us to bring him 10 logs next. We do, and we take off. So this is just a little puzzle minigame. We have 5 options, well, 6 counting the bail option, which is just give up. Each time we select one of the options, we move forward 1 spot, and based on the option chosen, We go up or down up to 2 spots. Going up 1 takes a log, going 2 takes a sandbag, going down any amount, or going straight doesn't take any supplies. The goal is to make it to the other side of the screen without touching anything. Clouds, birds, lightning, houses, all will crash the balloon. This part right here annihilated me as a kid. How the heck do you get past this? Apparently, it only matters where you end up after moving, so you can just do this. And we land on the target. We have arrived. August is ecstatic that we traveled in a way nobody has ever done before, and he rewards us with a stylish bomber outfit. Quest complete. 51 fire making. Hey, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Since this video has been uploaded, that concludes the giveaway I started last video. The winner on YouTube will be announced in the pinned comment below, and the winner on Twitter will be announced on Twitter. Thank you to all the entrants. This was pretty fun for me. We unlocked even more milestone content in the final skill before what I'm going to call the Great Schism, the update in 2007 that separates old school RuneScape and RuneScape 3. Click on that subscribe button to not miss out on it. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the hunting grounds.